They're still in your life, still in your home, still sleeping beside you, but emotionally, they're gone. No fights, no cheating, no dramatic ending. Just a quiet realization that the person you live with no longer feels like yours. Psychology shows that this kind of loss is harder than separation, because your brain can't grieve someone who never actually left. You keep adjusting, lowering your needs, convincing yourself this is normal, but living with someone who is no longer emotionally yours slowly rewires your self-worth. In this video, we'll explain the psychology behind emotional absence, why it hurts so deeply, and why staying can be more damaging than leaving. Living with someone who is no longer emotionally yours is a specific kind of psychological pain. They are still there. They still exist in your daily routine. You still share space, conversations, responsibilities, and silence. But emotionally, the connection is gone. And the most confusing part is that nothing officially ended. There was no clear moment, no dramatic event, no single argument you can point to, just a slow realization that the person you live with no longer reaches for you emotionally. Psychology shows that the human brain struggles more with ambiguous loss than with clear separation. When someone leaves, the mind can process absence. When someone stays without emotional presence, the mind stays trapped in uncertainty. You keep asking questions that never get answered. Are they just stressed? Is this temporary? Did I do something wrong? Am I asking for too much? And because the person is still physically present, you doubt your own perception. You tell yourself it's not that bad. You minimize your feelings. You adapt. This is how emotional erosion begins. When someone is no longer emotionally yours, they stop attuning to you. They listen less. They respond later. They stop noticing your inner world, not aggressively, not cruelly, quietly. And quiet emotional withdrawal is far more damaging than obvious rejection. Because rejection gives clarity. Withdrawal gives confusion. Your nervous system stays activated, always scanning, always waiting, always hoping for signs of return. Psychology calls this intermittent emotional availability, and it is one of the strongest drivers of emotional attachment, not because it feels good, but because unpredictability keeps the brain engaged. You start overthinking your tone, your timing, your needs. You try to be easier to love, quieter, more patient, less demanding. Not because you changed, but because you learned that expressing yourself no longer lands anywhere. Over time, you stop sharing your inner thoughts. Not intentionally, but instinctively. Because vulnerability without response feels unsafe. This creates emotional self-silencing, a state where you disconnect from parts of yourself to preserve the relationship. And the relationship slowly stops being about connection. It becomes about coexistence. Many people assume that emotional absence means lack of love, but psychology shows something more complex. Some people emotionally withdraw because they lack emotional capacity, some because they are avoiding guilt, some because they fear confrontation, some because they benefit from stability without intimacy. They stay because leaving requires accountability. Staying without emotional investment does not. This creates a power imbalance. One person carries emotional responsibility, the other disengages. You may notice that you are the one initiating conversations, checking in, trying to repair, trying to reconnect. While they remain neutral, passive, unavailable, and because there is no open conflict, the pain becomes invisible to others and eventually to you. You may feel lonely even when you're not alone. You may feel unseen even when you're being looked at. You may feel disconnected even while sharing a bed. This loneliness is particularly damaging because it happens inside attachment, the place where safety is supposed to exist. Psychology shows that emotional neglect activates the same brain regions as physical pain. The body registers it as loss. Sleep changes, mood shifts, anxiety increases, self-worth quietly declines. But because the relationship technically still exists, you feel guilty for hurting. You tell yourself you should be grateful, that others have it worse. This self-gaslighting deepens the damage. Living with someone who is no longer emotionally yours slowly rewires identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone worthy of emotional responsiveness. You stop expecting care. You stop believing your needs matter, and this belief does not stay contained. It spills into confidence, decision-making, joy. You may feel emotionally smaller, less expressive, less alive. Yet on the surface, everything looks normal. This is why so many people stay in these relationships for years, sometimes decades. Hope is sustained by proximity. As long as they are still there, part of you believes the connection can return. But emotional presence cannot be forced. It cannot be negotiated. It cannot be earned through self-erasure. One of the most painful realizations is understanding that someone can stay out of habit, fear, or convenience, not emotional attachment. And that realization hurts more than abandonment because it challenges the meaning you assign to their presence. Awareness is not about blame, it is about clarity. When you name what is happening, something shifts. You stop chasing emotional breadcrumbs. You stop interpreting silence as potential. You stop shrinking yourself to preserve connection. You see the difference between physical presence and emotional availability. And you realize something important. Your longing is not weakness. Your need for emotional connection is not excessive. Your pain is not imaginary. It is a normal response to emotional absence inside attachment. Whether the relationship can change depends on emotional accountability, mutual effort, willingness to re-engage. But regardless of outcome, one truth remains. You are not wrong for wanting to feel emotionally chosen by the person you live with. Living with someone who is no longer emotionally yours is not neutral. It costs something. And the moment you stop confusing proximity with love, you begin to reclaim yourself. Because emotional presence is not optional in connection. It is the connection. And choosing clarity over quiet suffering is not selfish. It is psychological self-respect.